You're my
You're my
favourite
favorite
person,
person here, clearly.
No, you are
But
actually
I
my
really,
favourite
really,
person.
really mean it. I think I'd have a completely different experience if,
No, I know, same.
obviously, you weren't here.
My whole experience in here stems from the base that we are building.
Certainly, the idea of bringing in Lucinda and Curtis didn't play out as was expected. Because for Lucinda to come in and create so much havoc and it not play out how it was orchestrated is really sad. And for Curtis, a grown man, to cry because Millie turned him down, I don't get it. I don't know whether it's because he's realizing that he's failed the mission for what he came into the villa for, because he was supposed to be the guy to couple up with Millie and get it to the end. That's the opinion that I have. And then I feel like, oh, I'm going to say this with my full chest. Production are responsible for who was favorite guy and favorite girl, not the viewers. Because if you've been on social media, you've seen the outrage from people for Sean trying to label Scott a bully. So the idea that suddenly he is the favorite boy, it doesn't make sense, especially if Scott is not vulnerable. How is, Scott the bully still not vulnerable, and yet the favorite guy is Sean? Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, and I think this is what was confusing for Sean on his behalf, because he realized that this game was up. Am I surprised with the bottom six? I think Leanne, because she doesn't talk a lot, she's just in a lovey-dovey couple. I think her, because she doesn't talk a lot. Everybody else, I'm pleasantly surprised that Jack wasn't in the bottom. Connor, sadly, he doesn't talk a lot as well, and so that's why he and Leanne always found themselves vulnerable, because people don't follow them. They don't have, this theatrics and toxicity that we get from the rest. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars Season 3, Episode 13. I'm so mixed up with labeling my episodes, I will get to it. Well, it is what it is. Anyway, so you have the girls getting ready for the night, and Lucinda's having this back and forth with Sammy. Lucinda's just being petty because she was saying, she and Kieran, they're in a very good space. They're doing very well as a couple, and he told her that he regrets kissing Sammy. And it's like, Lucinda, why would you say that? Why would you say that unless you're trying to wind him up? Oh, he apologized to me and he said, he feels really bad for kissing Sammy. And it's like, that's not it, though, Lucinda. Why not wait for him to tell her how he feels? If they're going to break up, they're going to break up. I feel like Lucinda's just being spiteful just for the sake of being spiteful. I think she was just being petty just because she wants to humiliate Sammy, and this was her goal. I don't think she really liked Kieran as a partner, but she wanted to do whatever she could to steal him. You have Millie pull Kieran for a chat. Why she felt like his mum and wanted to chastise him, I do not get it. I agree with Kieran that it felt more like, she was mothering him, and he didn't understand why. She brought out the fact that, Lucinda said or you regretted kissing Sammy, and they said no. I apologized for how it made Lucinda feel. And it's like, at the end of the day, who is Millie to speak up on your behalf? Millie was playing both sides. She was playing both Lucinda and Sammy and pretending to be both their friends because she was trying to remove the attention from herself. That's the impression that I get. And I think Lucinda, seeing that things might be going left for her, she targeted Tommy. And Tommy is smitten. He is smitten. So she went, she had a chat with him. She was telling him that, she really likes him and she wants to get to know him. She thinks that he is more lighthearted as compared to her connection with Kieran. Do I think so? I don't think so. I think she just likes the fact that she knows she can wind him or bend him and contort him to be the type of man that she wants. Kieran then went for a chat with Sammy, and Sammy was upset, saying, Lucinda said you apologize for kissing me. And he said, no, I didn't say that. And so he had to grovel. And it's like, Kieran, why is he groveling for these girls? I think he expected toxicity. I think he expected whoever is toxic is the person he was going to dump. Because at the end of the day, he wants to win. So he's going to do what's in his best power and what will allow him to get to the very end. Because he already told her that, Millie told me everything that was discussed. And it's like, Millie is no one's friend. Millie wants to win, and so she's going to create theatrics for people to butt heads so that she can win. Millie went to the terrace with Curtis. They had a conversation. I think for Millie, as she said, she's watched Love Island so many times, and because she's watched it so many times, she can see through, Curtis's gameplay, because he's not very diverse in how sort of he woos a girl, and so this is why she's seeing through his mess. And I think this is where she started to get the ick, because he's sweet, but he's too sweet. So he doesn't have that sort of roughness or that edge to him that most girls want. Kieran then pulled Lucinda for a chat and told her that, I'm sorry, they had a conversation, tried to clarify what was said. He said, he said that she's saying he apologized for the kiss. That's not what he was apologizing for. He was apologizing for how it made her feel. And it's like potato, potato. It's the same thing. You shouldn't have felt bad for anything if you were happy in your couple with Sammy. I think he was trying to see which of the two is better, and he realized that he couldn't play with Lucinda the way he was going to play with Sammy, whereas with Lucinda was going to make him work very hard. And I think this is when he realized that he needs to start turning his head and going back. You had Tommy sit down for a chat with Jess. Jess, I think, realized that she was in trouble. And if people are going to vote for couples, she was going to be voted out. So she was saying she's open to reopening their connection and seeing if there's anything there. No, she doesn't feel him that way. She feels him because she's got no other options. Everybody else that's coming into the villa doesn't like her. So they have to do something in order to make things turn or to make things work. And so the idea that suddenly she's interested in exploring anything with Tommy, I don't think it's it. I think she just said it because she knew he wanted to hear that. Tommy then was talking to the guys, and the guys were asking him about his chat with Jess, and they were saying, we have decided to try to rekindle. And it's like, there's nothing to rekindle. There was never anything there in the first place. Everybody got ready for the night. People got in bed, and those in happy couples really went to town. Those not in happy couples were upset and were back to back. And it's like, it is what it is. At times, you can't win them all. In the morning, I was surprised to see Kieran and Lucinda in different duvets, which leads me to believe that they didn't want to even share the bed, but production said, you're a couple, you have to share your bed. In the morning, you had Curtis say to Scott, let's make breakfast for the girls. So they made breakfast for Leanne and Millie, and then they sat down on a double date. And it was really cute because you had Scott and, Leanne trying to sort of encourage Curtis and Millie to open up and tell and say what they liked about one another. At this point, I think Scott is just doing it because he wants to fob up Millie to somebody else. He doesn't want her, and he doesn't want to be forced into a triangle with her. And I think this is why he was trying to encourage that date and to encourage that bond. And you could see Millie wasn't feeling it. She was tolerating it, but she really wasn't feeling it. Belle and Sean for me don't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. It somehow feels like Belle really likes Sean, but Sean doesn't like her. He tolerates her because all the girls that he wanted are turning him down. If Lucinda had doubled backed on him, he would have gone back. But I think after the way he was called out by Scott, he's afraid that his game is going to be shown. So he's going to pretend like he really likes this girl when we all know he doesn't like her. They were talking about how they enjoy their connection, how they want to continue to grow it, and how he's doing his best. He's not doing his best to do anything. He's not a changed man. He's still the same person. When the new bombshells come in, she's going to see him for who he is. Kieran then went for a chat with Lucinda, and he was telling Lucinda that, Lucinda kept questioning him. I think she wanted him to pick, and in the end, he picked to stay with, Sammy. It makes more sense because he's been in a couple with Sammy longer than he's been with Lucinda. Lucinda is a game player. She's been on multiple Love Islands, so she knows how to play this game. I don't think he's going to be serious with Sammy. He might pleasantly surprise me, like, what's his name? That guy who's still with the girl that he met, Molly, and what's his name? Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. So he might surprise me. They decided to agree to disagree and to sort of break things up. Did I think there was anything there? I think it was more them being encouraged to have a love triangle because there was no other couple there. Immediately after that, you had Kieran take Sammy to the secret garden. Sammy was giddy. She was excited. She was like a kid that robbed the candy store. Because I don't get why she was that giddy that suddenly she won. She worked very hard for someone she was already in a couple with, which gives thirsty. For me, it gives thirsty. There was no need for her to try and win Kieran over because they'd been in a couple for a couple of days before Lucinda came in. And if he liked her, he would never have explored a connection with anybody else. Kieran said he was excited because she didn't, she was very cool about the whole situation. He would never have done it with Nicole. Nicole would have dragged him. She wouldn't allow him to get to know anyone. So the idea that he got to know someone exploded and realized that no, he wanted to go back to Sammy. Good for him. They shared a kiss. Surprise, no. You had Lucinda having a chat with, Curtis. I found it a bit awkward when Curtis sort of laid in between Millie's legs. I think that's what gave her the ick, and she decided to call it quit. He could have laid on her side. They could have been side by side, but the fact that he wanted his head in between her legs didn't make sense. And Lucinda was saying, Kieran and I have decided to call it quits. Everybody just agreed to disagree because they knew that Kieran had called it off. And I think no one was going to argue with her because Lucinda has this persona that she's trying to maintain, and they all have to humor it. But Millie was playing both sides because as soon as Sammy came out, she went to sit with Sammy by the mini fire pit and was telling her, "Oh, Lucinda said we agreed to break up, but I know for a fact that he is the one who called it off." And it's like, "Ma'am, focus on yourself. How about that? Focus on yourself and leave other couples alone instead of you wasting your time trying to find out what is going on with everybody else instead of getting to know what's going on in your couple." On her part, Sammy was giddy. She was excited because for her, she got the person that she wanted. And I think Lucinda, having seen Kieran come out of the secret garden, decided to take Tommy and take him there. Tommy was excited. He was like a puppy dog. He was wagging his tail. So they went to the secret garden, started to talk about their connection, and then suddenly Tommy said, "Oh, do you want to share a kiss?" And Lucinda went in, he went in, and they were happy. And for Lucinda, they sealed the deal. He is now her partner until they get to the very end. He is smitten. He is excited. He is giddy. Lucinda, I think, was trying to antagonize the girls. That's what she was trying to do. She was trying to antagonize the girls. So she was trying to do anything and everything to provoke them. Because after the secret garden, she then went and sat with Curtis, where she knew Jess was there. Jess was trying to explore something with Tommy. So for her to tell Curtis that, "Oh, we kissed," and then, "Oh, Jess, just to let you know we kissed. I hope you're okay with it." And it's like, so what do you want her to say? What do you want her to say? You've done it. You've told her. What else do you expect her to do? And sadly, the boys are not seeing this because you had Sean and Tommy go into the kitchen, and Tommy was telling Sean that, "Oh, I kissed her. We had an amazing time. This, that, and the other." And it's like, it's not that deep. Lucinda is not someone to make future plans with because she is going to dump you when she's good and ready. If she gets the person she likes, she's going to dump you. Immediately after you had him run and pull Jess for a chat, had a conversation with Jess and told Jess, "Oh, I just wanted you to know that I kissed Lucinda." And Jess said, "Well, I know already because she's already told me. So this is old news. She's already told me, so I know it. I know what's happened. So it is what it is." And that sort of deflated Tommy because I think he wanted to have the upper hand, and it just didn't work out how he expected. The islanders got ready for the night. You had the guys in the changing room, and Tommy was telling everyone that he had shared a kiss with Lucinda. I think on his part, Kieran realized he had dodged a bullet because it showed that Lucinda was playing a game and she was looking for a target. And sadly, Tommy had fallen into a trap. The girls were excited. You had Lucinda be asked, "So what happened?" She revealed that she shared a kiss. And then they were sort of asking Jess, "How do you feel?" Jess dumped this man and told this man that he's not her type. He's not it for her. So the idea that we feel the need to ask doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. After everybody had picked their drinks up, you had Curtis go up to the terrace with Millie, and they had a chat. And Millie was saying, "I think things are moving too fast. I want us to just put a break on it, especially the double date. It gave me some sort of feeling. I started to question what was going on between the two of us, so I wasn't happy about that. I just want us to pause for a second." And you could see that Curtis was broken, but he was trying to sort of be there for her and be the gentleman that he's always told himself to be. And he was questioning her. "Do you think you were starting a new relationship too soon after not having processed your old relationship?" And it's like, maybe she needed time to heal because she was in a relationship apparently for 4 years. So the idea that in 5 months she's moved on, hey, it is what it is. Curtis then started walking around the villa. He was upset after that. And it's like, oh my God. The little moment between Scott and Leanne was cute. I really loved it. They are in their own little bubble. And especially when you got to the elimination in the bottom, you could see Scott was breaking. So I love this, that they had a cutesy moment before we had Maya Jama walk in. Millie was in the changing room. She was busy sort of telling Helena that, "Helena, this is what has happened. I've broken up things with Curtis. I've taken steps back. I've told him that we really need to take our own time." And personally, this is what I think. I think Curtis needs to pivot and go to Helena. Helena will get him to the finale because there's some viewers out there that love her, that are voting for her. So if he can couple up with her, stay with her. I don't think Helena likes a guy like Curtis. Just like Millie, I think they like a rough guy, someone who won't treat them as well as Curtis does. So this is the problem that they have. Curtis was crying. He went to the fire pit. He was crying. He walked into the bedroom. He was crying. He was all over the villa crying. And it's like, it's not that deep, buddy. It's only been 5 days. It is not that deep. You can move on from this. You don't need to continue with this hot mess train. Anyway, Maya Jama arrived. She then revealed that, the islanders, the public had been voting. They had voted for their favorite guy and favorite girl, and so the favorite girl was revealed to be Sammy. Surprised? No. I think she was given this as a consolation prize for having allowed that whole triangle debacle and having sort of tolerated that and not sort of kicked off. The favorite guy was given to, Sean. Am I surprised? No. I feel like this was a bonus for him. This was to try and sort of appease him and make him feel like, the viewers were on his side. He doesn't realize that production actually played the clip of him bad mouthing, Scott. So I can't wait for that. Because of that, you then had Maya say, the bottom three couples, the guys were sadly Connor, to be expected. Curtis, I'm surprised he was in the bottom, and then Shaq. Shaq was taken aback. The way Whitney was worried for him, it was really sad to watch because Whitney was sort of thinking, "Oh my God, what is going to happen to him? What is going to happen to him?" And it's like he made his bed the day he came for you, so you can't be surprised for him. On the girls, the bottom three were revealed to be Jess, Lucinda, and Leanne. Leanne, Scott was crying. Scott, I think, was going to walk out had they dumped Leanne. So the fact that Leanne was vulnerable, he couldn't understand because he thought he was going to be vulnerable. So the idea that his partner was vulnerable, I think, is something he didn't expect, and he must be sort of banging himself and saying, I'm the reason why she's vulnerable because people couldn't come after me, which is really sad. Though Maya Jama then revealed that the viewers were going to decide who was going to be dumped. And because of that, the public have voted to dump Shaq and Jess. Am I surprised? No. I think Jack should have gone home. I think Tommy should have gone home. I think Sean should have gone home. Shaq didn't deserve to go home. And then we were shown a clip of the new bombshells from the USA. They took the rejects of the Love Island USA. That's who they brought in. Zach with a C, I don't even know why he's coming to the UK. It doesn't make sense for me personally. There were bombshells that were on Love Island USA that they could have brought. But for them to bring that, I can't wait to see what happens. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 12. Bye guys.